If you or your student is preparing to take the ACT and want to get the answer to the million-dollar question of what is a good ACT score, then this video is for you. Now, we've poured through data on average ACT scores to help you get a better understanding of how your ACT score stacks up. And I'm also going to share tips on how to set and reach your target ACT score. Hey, it's Chucky here from SojourningScholar.com. Despite changes in recent years to college entrance exams, the ACT is still an important part of the college admissions process, as many U.S. universities and colleges, even those that claim to be test optional, still regard the ACT as a good predictor of a student's college readiness. And with an impressive ACT score, you or your student can begin to open doors to many opportunities that would otherwise remain closed, such as qualifying for competitive merit scholarships. Now, before we get into ACT average scores, let's discuss how the ACT is scored. The ACT is scored on a scale from 1 to 36, with 36 being the highest possible score. The four main sections of the ACT, which are the English, the math, the reading, and the science sections, are graded independently from a scale of 1 to 36. And the average of these section scores will give you your overall score, also called a composite ACT score. Now, here are some crunchy stats about the ACT in recent times that you can nibble on. In 2022, 1.3 million students took the ACT, which represents a 30% drop from the number of students who took the ACT in 2018. Now, this drop is attributed to the test optional college admissions requirement since 2018. The national average composite ACT score in 2022 was 19.8, which is the lowest observed national average ACT score in the last 3 decades. Furthermore, ACT scores have also been on the decline in the last 5 years, with the score decline between 2021 and 2022 being the most severe year-over-year decline in average ACT composite scores ever recorded in history. And when you look across national average scores of the individual sections of the ACT in the last 5 years, the English section has continuously been the lowest, while the reading section has been the highest, with the math and science sections falling somewhere in between. Now, students looking to attend a state school might be particularly interested in ACT scores at the state level to know how they compare to other in-state students. The states with the highest ACT score in 2022 were Massachusetts and California, with a composite score of 26.5, while the state with the lowest reported ACT score was Nevada with a composite score of 17.3. So if you were planning to attend an in-state university in Nevada with an ACT score of 19.8, which was the national average in 2022, you will still be above your Nevada peers. However, when comparing ACT scores between US states, it's important to also consider the percentage of graduates from each state that took the ACT. For example, while Massachusetts and California reported the highest ACT score in 2022, less than 10% of graduates from these states took the ACT in 2022. Thus, the reported ACT score from these states are drawn from a very small sample compared to a state like Nevada where 100% of graduates took the ACT in 2022. But knowledge of national and state average ACT scores only tells half of the story. It's also important to consider score distributions, also known as percentile scores, to get an accurate picture of where an ACT score falls relative to the competition. For example, in the year 2022, a composite ACT score of 34 falls in the 99th percentile, meaning only 1% of ACT test takers in the entire country scored higher than this number, while ACT composite scores of 28 and 31 fall into the 90th and 95th percentiles of all ACT test takers respectively. But while an ACT score of 31 is without a doubt a good ACT score, when compared to the rest of the country, it might be the average ACT score amongst applicants competing for admission into some colleges. For example, if you're targeting any of the Ivy League schools, you'll need a composite ACT score above 33 to be a strong applicant. So, as you can see, your target ACT score would ultimately depend on how competitive the pool of applicants are at the schools you plan to apply to. Now, one of the best ways to know how competitive a school you're applying to is to look at the student profile of the last year's admitted class. There you would find information about the ACT score distributions of the last year's admitted class. So for example, if I was applying to the University of Pennsylvania, I would find that about half of the students admitted in the class of 2026 reported ACT scores between 34 and 36. So now you know how to set a target ACT score. Let's talk about how you can raise your ACT score. Now, the first course of action will be to take an official ACT practice test to know exactly where you fall. And it's best to take this practice test under realistic test-taking conditions. And a really good resource to find ACT practice tests is from the official ACT prep guide, which gives you 6 full-length ACT practice tests in print and online as well. And how far off you are from your target ACT score will determine how rigorous your ACT prep will need to be. The next course of action is to identify the areas of the ACT where you're strong at and areas where you're weak at. And this is where working with the right ACT prep resources such as books, online courses, or private tutoring become important. And to help you find the best ACT prep resources, you can watch our reviews on the best ACT courses and private tutoring companies on the market, which I'm going to link down in the description section below. And just as important as working with the right prep resources is making and sticking to a right study schedule. As much as everyone thinks they can just study when the time is right, making a more structured study schedule and sticking to this schedule is the right way to go. So whether you're going to spend 1 hour per day or you're going to spend all weekend prepping for the ACT, finding the right study schedule that works for you is key. Now, it is important to remember that while high-test scores can help to set you apart from the competition, they should never be seen as the sole determinant of your success in the college admissions process. As other parts of your application, such as your GPA, your extracurricular activities, letters of recommendation, and the college essay, play a key role as well. Hope you found this video helpful and best of luck in your ACT prep.